Something related to some of those association areas that we talked about, Wernicke's and Broca's area, is a condition called aphasia. Aphasia is a disability associated with those language areas of our brain. So it says the language areas of the brain are located usually on the left side of our cerebrum for most people. So Broca's area is on the left side of our brain. It says the inability to use or comprehend words is called aphasia. So your Broca's area or Wernicke's area are going to be unable to process and understand written spoken language that's coming into it. Now, there are two types of aphasia. The first one is called non-fluent aphasia, and it says that's the inability to properly form words. So in other words, no pun intended, you know what you want to say, but you can't say it. Non-fluent aphasia is pretty common in people who have had a stroke, for example. So someone who's had a stroke, it's affected Broca's area. They may know what they want to say. They may want to say, "Could I get a drink of water, please?" But they can't form the words to say what they want to say. They often seem very confused and they get really frustrated. But if you were to give them a pen and a piece of paper, they could write down what they want to say. They just can't say it. This is a damage to Broca's area. We call it non-fluent aphasia. The other type is called fluent aphasia, and that says it's a faulty understanding of spoken or written words. So a faulty understanding of what you're hearing or what you are reading. This is fluent aphasia. So it kind of manifests itself into two categories: word deafness, the inability to understand spoken words. So if I'm sitting here talking to you and you don't understand anything I'm saying, you have word deafness. You have fluent aphasia. I think a lot of my high school students have this, especially those freshmen. I'll be talking and they don't understand anything I'm saying. You'll give them a set of directions, and then you'll say, "Okay, are there any questions?" And none of them raise their hand, of course. And then you'll say, "Okay, get to work." And then all of a sudden they're like, "I don't understand what we're doing." That is word deafness. Another great example of word deafness would be the Peanuts characters. Charlie Brown, Lucy, Linus, and Snoopy. Have you ever noticed that every time they're in a classroom or they're talking to their parents, what do their parents sound like? Wah, 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 wah. Charles Schultz, the creator of Peanuts, knew that kids don't listen to adults. So he put in word deafness into his cartoon to kind of demonstrate how kids think and how differently their brain works than adults. So the adults are making that wah, 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 wah sound because the kids all have word deafness. Word blindness is the inability to understand written words. So if I'm sitting here trying to read this PowerPoint and I don't understand it, that is word blindness. It's another type of fluent aphasia. Now, fluent aphasia is damage or miscommunication to Wernicke's area. So non-fluent aphasia, where we know what to say but we can't say it, that's Broca's area. Fluent aphasia, where we have a faulty understanding of what we are hearing or what we are reading, that is fluent aphasia. I often think of foreign language with this because with foreign languages, it affects both Broca's area and Wernicke's area. And I was telling you at the end of the last video that when we're kids, these parts of our brain, Broca's area and Wernicke's area, are very plastic. They're very fluid. They adapt, and we are generating neurons all the time in these areas when we are little kids. So, really from like age 1.5 to 2, all the way up to 5, 6 years old, we are just absorbing language. We are absorbing by hearing, by reading and written language, but also we are producing language through Broca's area. As we get older, when we get into middle school, high school, these areas become more fixed. So we have a harder time with language the older we get. And that's why if you took a foreign language and you first started it in high school, it could be very difficult for you. The best way to learn a language is to be immersed in it and learn it when you are 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. If you are waiting until high school or college to take foreign language, getting that to be absorbed in by Broca's and Wernicke's area is really difficult. And that's the big challenge that we have. I took French in high school, and I took it for 2 years, my junior and senior year of high school, and I just struggled like crazy. I didn't have any foreign language up until high school, and I just really had a hard time with French. In fact, even today, I know a few French phrases from my high school years. I might be able to count to 10 maybe, but I just really struggled with it. In college, I had to fill a couple semesters with a few extra credit hours. So I decided to take German. And the professor I had really kind of, struck me, and I really liked this professor. And so I took a couple of semesters of German in college, and that seemed to click a little bit, but it's still really hard because I am learning this language with a more fixed brain. And so I basically blame my parents for not being able to speak German fluently, because they should have put me in German classes when I was 4 years old, when I could absorb all this stuff. So in German now, I've kind of kept learning it on my own and stuff, but it's been very difficult. So ich spreche Deutsch, aber ich denke English. I can speak some German, but I still think in English, and then I have to translate it into German. They always say that you're starting to really learn a foreign language when you start to think in that foreign language. And I haven't practiced German in a while. I should really get back into it because I just find it fun to do. But it's another one of those things where, you use it or you lose it kind of a deal. And I really need to get back into it and study some more German. Try and get that brain more plastic. Try and get your brain absorbing that information. Broca's area and Wernicke's area are just really tough areas of your brain to do this after you start puberty. So I have to say I love German. You can, anything you say in German, you can turn into an argument. You can say the most romantic thing in German, ich liebe dich, but it sounds so bold, it sounds like you're doing a Hitler speech all the time. Ich mache eine Einkaufsliste und ich habe eine Tochter, sie ist 18 Jahre alt und sie hat blonde Haare. All I said was I'm making a shopping list, and I have a daughter who's 18 years old and she has blonde hair, but they always sound like a Hitler speech. So I love German. I'm going to have to get back on Duolingo and keep working. I I've gone through the entire course on Duolingo with German. Maybe I should try Babbel or something. All right, I'm babbling on because I find this kind of stuff interesting. This is one of those moments in lecture where I go off on a huge tangent and then we don't have enough time to finish class. So luckily with these videos, I always have enough time to finish class because there's no time constraints. All right, bis später, bis bald und auf Wiedersehen.